Okay, guys, we're going to go over client scheduling. Two things we're going to talk about. Okay, first thing I just caught here is I created a schedule and I want it to be reoccurring. So I'm in Rulon Gardner's profile right here. Okay. So X out of this right here. Okay. Profile. I'm on a schedule. Okay, here's a shift I made. Put Angela Christensen on it. So let's open this thing up. Let's look at it here. Okay. I like what we did here. We've got it now, so the dates are all right here and the time, which is great right there. I've got Angela Christensen on there, all that information. I put that it's recurring weekly, and we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday through the 15th. Okay. And I hit save on that. And what did it do? It just made one schedule. It did not make it reoccurring. That should have gone all the way from there through the 15th. Okay, so why don't we do that again here? So I'm going to go to calendar. I'm going to go to schedule. By the way, we should be able to do this from Rulon Gardner schedule as well, but right now we're only doing it here. So, all right, let's add a shift. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick up Rulon Gardner. Okay, long-term care insurance. Okay, we'll start it on the 16th. Okay, we'll have that start at 8 a.m. You know what? We're going to go from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., the 12-hour shift. And we will put Richard Christensen on there. There's your long-term care insurance. Okay. And we're going to make it reoccurring weekly. And we're going to do it every day of the week. Okay. And again, so it started on the 15th, on the 16th. And we're going to take it through the end of the month. Okay. Now, this is a 12-hour shift. So there's definitely more than 40 hours in a week. So when I hit save here, I should be getting an overtime warning as well. And we're going to create this shift here for the whole time. I'm going to hit save, submitting. Okay, shift status successfully created. Okay. So let's go to our client. Let's go to Rulon Gardner. Let's go to the month. Okay, and there it was. So why did it do this for Angela? Okay, now here's the issue we have here. It created that, but we didn't get any warnings on overtime at all. Okay, let's go into RelyFi. Okay, let's grab a client. John Rambo. Okay, let's look at his schedule. John Rambo doesn't have any schedules at all. Okay, let's go into a caregiver. Greg Amata, schedule, and we'll start out, we'll do it same thing, the 16th all the way through here. Let's see, is this one already done? Back. Schedule for the month. Yeah, it's already clocked in, clocked out. I can't do it with that. Okay, so why don't we start here? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a schedule. Now, I cannot create a schedule from a caregiver's profile here. we can only do it either from the calendar, where we can add a shift, or from John Rambo, the client. So let's do it from the client. John Rambo. Let's look at his schedule. Okay. And since we'll go ahead and we'll start it on the 19th because that's a new payroll week. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on there. 19th to the 19th. Okay. And we'll go 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Okay. Now you noticed here, we got the first warning is you're currently selecting exceeding the allowable daily hours of 4 hours on a 12-hour shift. Okay, so here's we got a 12-hour shift. So we already got that first warning right there. Now let's go ahead and put, who was the caregiver that we talked about? Greg Amata, yeah. It's Greg Amata, long-term care insurance, hourly, and save. Oop. Now, that was just 8 hours there. Let's go ahead here and let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that shift because we did not make it reoccurring. So let's go ahead and redo that again. So here we go. John Rambo, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Greg Amata, long-term care insurance, hourly, okay. Oh, maybe we create it. Then we come in here and say, okay, here. Let's go ahead and change. Oh, let's delete that. So it looks like maybe from the client schedule, we can only create a single shift. So let's go back up here under calendar, schedule, add a shift. Client is Rulon Gardner. No, John Rambo, I'm sorry. John Rambo for the 19th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Okay. And we're going to put Greg Amata on there. Long-term care insurance, hourly. There's our warning right there. Now, when we were in the client's calendar, this button did not exist. So it should exist because we should be able to make a recurring one as well. So when we're doing this nurse loop, we need to be able to do it in both places. So let's go reoccurring, make it weekly. And we do it every day till the end of the month. Okay. And save. And now let's go to view by client. And we've got John Rambo. Right here. Okay, we're viewing by the week. We got to go to the next week here. And here he is. We've got 84 hours of billing. There's a problem there. There's a bunch of overtime that we should have been warned on. Not sure why that warning did not show when we made it. let's go into the caregivers now. Greg Amata, 84 hours, there's their 40 hours. I'm wondering if we create a new schedule, let's add a shift and we'll go for Bob Barker, let's call it, on the 24th. And we'll do this at 9 o'clock. And then we do it till 11 o'clock. Okay, now let's go ahead and pick Greg Amata. Okay, see there it is right there. Overtime alert. Current caregiver will add 2 hours as weekly overtime. 40 hours. Caregiver served 84 hours. Do you want to add that? So, yeah, so we're adding 2 hours to the already 84, right? So we go there, hourly, hourly. Okay. And now we hit save. So see this overtime alert? When we created that main schedule that went 84 hours in a given week, we should have gotten this same type of alert, on there. So let's make sure that when we're doing that coding, that's like that. So let's go ahead and save that. Okay. Now, obviously here, so now let's look at for that next week. There's Greg Amata, 9 to 11. Made that recurring right there. Let's go ahead and add a shift. John Rambo from the 19th. Okay. Let's do that at from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Okay. Now its current selection exceeds the allowable hours. You might check in before the shift. Allowable hours 12.73. So we need to make sure we're getting all these hours. So Greg Amata is not on there, probably because let's do this to 8:30. And let's do this at 8:05 to 8:45. There he is, Greg Amata. Okay. Currently, you'll add 0.67 weekly overtime hours. Yep. So let's go ahead and do this. Long-term care insurance. Hourly. Hourly. Save. Let's refresh that. Let's go to the client. All. John Rambo. Schedule. And so what we've got here is we've got Greg Amata from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 8:05 to 8:45. Say that's on there. So it's a pretty full day with Greg Amata. All right. We need to make sure there's overtime alerts and all that kind of stuff. Let's come back into here. Here is the client, which is Rulon Gardner. And we have all this overtime with Richard Christensen. And there was no overtime warnings or recognition or anything like that. So Rulon Gardner, let's go into that client. Rulon Gardner, profile, payer information, claims data. Okay, there's the policy information. Claims. Yeah, and even he has 4 hours, only 4 hours approved. Okay. We'll change it to 5 and save it. Okay, that's done there. Let's go to the schedule again. So let's look at that one. So we've got the 16th there, the 8 to 8 p.m. Okay. And Monday through Friday. And that's what we got there. Okay. Let's go ahead and close out of that. Let's go back to our schedule. Okay. Schedule. Let's add a shift. Okay. The client was Rulon Gardner. Okay. Long-term care insurance. We'll start on the 16th. Let's have it start at 8:30 p.m. and go to 10:30 p.m. Okay. Let's grab Richard Christensen. Let's make it reoccurring weekly. And I'm just gonna do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and ends on the 31st. Okay. Okay. Now, what time do we say it started? 8:30, 9:30, 10. So that's only 2.5 hours, right? So let's change that to 3:30 to 10:30. Not sure why that shows 14. That must be the caregiver's code or something like that. I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay, so 8:30, 8:30, I'm sorry, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10, that's 7 hours. We just put a 7 hours and Richard Christensen's not available, which is perfect, right? Because he's already, shouldn't be showing up because he's already on that shift. But I'm gonna come in here. We don't have any warning anywhere that we are exceeding the 5 hours. This is a 7 hour shift we're creating. We're exceeding the authorized 5 hours. So that needs to be fixed right there. But let's go ahead and make this 8:30 to 10:30. Now Richard should be there. I'm gonna put Richard on there. He's got all those hours. Now again, he's way into overtime, right? So no warnings about overtime. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. Okay, it's been saved. Okay, let's look at, let's go to that client. Rulon Gardner. Okay, let's look at the schedule for the month. Thought I went to the 31st, but it's not there. So here we go. We've got all those schedules built. What is this day here? Friday, Saturday. We did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Maybe I didn't do Friday. I don't know. Anyway, so, but we obviously didn't get any overtime warnings and we didn't get any over approved authorized shift warnings. Okay, now we're gonna make, that's the first part that I wanted to talk about. Okay, here's the second part here. Now, what if this client needed two caregivers on both during at the same time? Okay. So the way that would work is we're going to come back into here. So here we've got the client is John Rambo and Greg Amata is there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., that 12-hour shift, right? So let's go to our schedule here. Here. Okay, let's add a shift. Let's grab John Rambo. Okay. He's got 4 hours. Got that warning. That's what we need to have on. The other one should have said 5 hours, right? Okay. And I think we said the 19th. Okay. And we started at 8 a.m. And we're going to go to 8 p.m. Here's the warnings. Okay. Now, if we grab, now you notice here, the caregiver that was on that shift was Greg Amata, right? Greg Amata is not there. Let's put Robert Christensen on it. Long-term care insurance. Hourly. Reoccurring till the last day of the month. Okay. And we should be getting overtime hours, but we're not because it's created all in one big shift. The next time we would do it, it's going to give an overtime hours. But the same way it gathered and said, hey, you're over the billable hours, it needs to say, hey, you're going into overtime hours. So let's go ahead and hit save. Okay, let's look at what John Rambo's schedule looks like. Client here, John Rambo. Look at the schedule. And we've got Greg Amata from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then we've got Robert Christensen from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we have, oh, it's only Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I must not have checked those dates or whatever, right? But we see we have a client with a schedule for the exact same time, but different caregivers, right? That's perfect. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. Let's go in now and see what happens here. We are in Rulon Gardner's. He's got Richard Christensen from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 8:30 to 10:30, okay? So we're going to go to our schedule. We're going to add a shift. Let's grab Rulon Gardner, long-term care insurance, the 19th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Okay. And it's showing Richard Christensen. Should not even be able to show Richard Christensen because Richard Christensen's already on that schedule at that time period. We'll do me. Long-term care insurance. Reoccurring. Weekly. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Ends on this date here. And save. It's submitting. Shift added was created. Okay. All right. So let's look at it here. Let's go into schedule. I'm sorry, let's go into Rulon Gardeners. Let's look at the schedule. There's Robert Christensen and there's Richard Christensen. Okay, so it worked this time here. Let me try one other way to do it. And just do it for one day. Because before I made this video, I got a different error. And so let me see if I can reproduce that here. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into schedule. Add a shift, Rulon Gardner. Long-term care insurance, just for the 19th, from 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Let's grab a caregiver. No options. I'm not sure why it's not giving us any caregivers. Okay, there we go. Richard Christensen, again, Richard is already there, so we shouldn't be able to do that. We'll put Angela on it this time. Okay. Do that. We won't make it reoccurring. And let's save it. Okay, there's the error here. Cannot create a shift. A shift already exists for this client on 10/19/25. Please select a different time slot. This error should not happen because you can create a shift on that same time slot as long as it has a different caregiver. So a client can have shifts at the same time with different caregivers. They can't have the same, the same caregiver on at that same time. So in other words, if I said, let's put Richard on there, okay, it's going to say this, it's going to give us the same error, but Richard should not even be a person that we can put on there because Richard, let's go out of here. On the 19th, Rulon Gardner, we've already got Robert and Richard are already there. So neither one of these guys should have even showed up as an option, so let's go ahead back here and go to schedule, add a shift. Rulon Gardner, long-term care insurance, 10/19, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Select caregivers. You see Robert's not there, but Richard is. So I'm not sure why it's allowing Richard to be here and not Robert, because Robert's already on a schedule at that same time, but Richard it's allowing us to put it there. But watch this, watch what's gonna happen here. I'm gonna go ahead and put Richard, okay? And then I'm gonna say it's reoccurring, and I'm gonna say it's weekly, and I'll go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now, remember, if we look back at his schedule, we already have a schedule during that same time slot, okay? And let's go ahead and hit save. Cannot create a shift, already exists for this client on 10/19. Okay. Let's see if we can put a different caregiver in there. Save. Okay. All right. So back to the point that we're trying to make here is It's interesting, we just got that error message, but when you go to Rulon Gardner, and you look at his schedule for the month, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It allowed us to duplicate it at once, but now it wouldn't let us duplicate it a third time. So I'm going to do one more trial here to rule some things out. Let's try a couple different things. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to find a different client. Let's go to clients. Mark Main, schedule. Okay, so we have a clean schedule here. Okay, nobody's on the schedule here. Okay, so let's go ahead, go to schedule. Let's add a shift. Let's grab Mark Main. Long-term care insurance for the first for 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Let's grab Petrush, long-term care insurance. We're not going to do it reoccurring. And I'm going to hit save. There it is. It's saved. Let's go to Mark Main. Let's go to that client. Mark Main. Okay, there that schedule is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Let's do that there. All right, now let's go to schedule. Add a shift. Mark Main. I think it was that day. Dang it. Go back here. For the month. Client. Mark Main. For the schedule, yeah. October 1st, 8 a.m. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to schedule. Add a shift. Mark Main. There. For 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And good. Petrush is not there, which is great. So we'll put Joe Ballard on there. Select a plan of care first. Okay. LCCI. There we go. Let's hit save. Okay, cannot create a shift. A shift already exists. Okay. So we just did that once. Let's try to make it a reoccurring shift. And we'll take it through. That was the first. We'll take it through the 17th. Weekly. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Joe Ballard. And let's go ahead and save. Okay. So it would not allow us to create a duplicate shift like that for a single shift or for a double shift. Again, why it did it for Rulon Gardner the first time, but not the second time. So there's no consistency in that, process. And we've got Mark Maine for long-term care insurance, let's go to his profile, client, Mark Maine. Let's go to profile, let's go to payer, claims information. Okay, we don't have anything in there. Yes. 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 Okay, now this should have pulled up his hourly bill rate. We shouldn't be able to type in any number in there. That should have pulled up his hourly bill rate. And we're doing under ADLs, 4-hour shifts, hands-on or standby, bathing, dressing, save. Okay. Policy details, Bankers Life, home care only. Monthly benefit, 100. That's perfect there. Unlimited. If I do yes, let's say no. Multiplier, 365. There's a max benefit. If we say it is 700, there you go. So it worked perfectly. Elimination period, 30 days. 1 day equals 1. 5%. Compounding. Yes. Save. Okay, all that's been saved. I want to look up under his financial terms. There's financials. Financials. Okay, let's look what his bill rate is. Payment terms. View payment terms. Okay, so we don't have anything set up in there. So maybe that's the reason why. But so let's go under here and we're going to say his payment terms is LTCI. Okay. And we're going to make that effective as of September 1st. And the bill rate is not 50, it is $88. And we're going to apply, we're going to do this, and invoice overdue terms, okay? And save. Remember, the normal rate is 50. We just changed him to 88. That's been saved. So it's showing here. So it changed the default, to that there, okay? Now, it's all down here as well, okay? So now let's go into the payers here. And when we come into here, and we say that it is here, let's change it to VA here. Whatever there. Okay, let's change that now back to long-term care insurance. And we say hourly. That should have pulled up $88 right there. We should not be manually putting it in, okay? And save. Because all that is going to pull over into this LTCI profile stuff that we haven't even started building out yet, okay? All right, so now we've got a 4-hour shift limit. So let's see what happens here. And we are going to go to schedule, add a shift, mark main. Long-term care insurance. On October 1st. And we'll do it from 8:30 p.m. to, we'll do it till 10:30 p.m. Okay. Now, the moment we did this, remember, it should have brought up here that there's a 4-hour limit, 4-hour shift limit, that's approved. We're not showing that. Let's go ahead and grab Petrush. There's his bill rate, which is perfect right there. Okay. Reoccurring weekly, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. And it will end on the 17th because we said this starts on the 1st. Okay. So we got no overtime warnings there again. Okay. We're not overlapping, so this should be fine, right? However, this is a 2-hour shift, but during that day, we already have 12 hours. So even though this is a 2-hour shift, which is less than 4, we already have a 12-hour shift for that day. So this should be showing that we're going now 8, 9, 10 hours over with this additional 2. But let's go ahead and hit save. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's been made. Let's go to the client, Greg Amata. Mark main, schedule. And there that is right there. Why it didn't grab Thursday and Friday? Because we said all the way till the 17th, but it did not put it there. And it put it on Monday, Sunday, which should have been. So anyways, you can see the problem that we have right there. Okay, so let's wrap this up, basically showing that it is not allowing us to create schedules for a client that are for the same time, but different caregivers. We need to be able to do that. Cannot do the same time, the same caregiver, but we can do the same time, different caregivers. Also, when we're building a schedule with a limited 4 hours, it needs to give, or 5 hours, whatever it is, it needs to say, hey, you are only authorized for 4 hours. Are you sure you want to do this? And if you're building it out for a week or whatnot, it'll show you how many total hours you're going over. Also, we need to make sure that when we are putting a caregiver on a shift and we're recurring it out, either if it's a single shift or if it's multiple shifts, that it gives an overtime warning as well. So a lot to soak in there, but we need to make sure that all those things are factored in when we're creating a schedule for clients and caregivers.